Oh, Mike, you look interesting. Let me paint a picture for those who are listening and not watching our full episodes on YouTube. Mike is wearing a KU bomber jacket, a retro t-shirt, a corduroy KU hat, and sunglasses, which I recognize as the exact uniform that he was wearing on Saturday. Mike and I just spent the weekend in Lawrence, and it seems as though Mike has extended his weekend to what is now Monday evening. What's going on, dude?
I'm basking in the glory of the weekend. I'm sad that it's over.
It's about 24 hours since I arrived back in my home here in Denver, and it looks like you just got there, or that you arrived last night like I did and just decided that you didn't want to wash the smell of Lawrence off you. You didn't want to wash the smell of victory.
The second we're done recording. But I needed to bring the vibe back for this podcast because it was so good in Lawrence.
I will say
it was incredible. Yeah. That's as good a Lawrence weekend as we could have.
It was a great weekend. I would say I'm paying for it now.
You don't feel good?
No, I think I got sick. I think I contracted something.
You're bussing with the boys, man. We were bussing with the boys.
We were buzzing. And yeah, I woke up today not feeling super great. Got a little scratch in the throat, got a little runny nose, but I guess that's just, the cost of doing business at this age and at this stage in our game.
It's actually the least surprising thing you could have told me today. Yeah.
I didn't lay up. I did not lay up.
I don't feel great, but I don't think I'm sick. I'm just tired. But man, that's how you want to feel coming back from Lawrence.
We did it right.
You want to be beat down a little. Yeah.
So shout out to everybody from the Show It All gang that came out any number of the time. I mean, we were out on Friday night. We were out on Saturday morning. We were out on Saturday night. And we ran into a lot of the Show It All gang. And I will just say this. Not only is the Show It All gang sick and rich and hot, but they're also very sweet. They're very cool. So many people came up to us saying some really nice things about the show, and it was a really cool event that you put on Saturday, man. Specifically Saturday. Like when we were at the Bowl, everybody was coming through wearing the home field gear, talking about the show, talking about everything. It was awesome.
That event was really, it was great. We packed Bullwinkles. We threw a hell of a party. The bar band came. But all weekend,
you banged the hell out of that drum, man.
Oh, I can bang one drum, and I did. Give me a mallet and a drum, and I'll bang.
Yeah.
But no, people all weekend said hello, and mostly when we were together. Like I felt like if I was solo, it would be one thing, but when we were together, a lot of people would connect the dots, and that was really cool. But I was a little emotional being back last night, thinking about it all. I mean, seriously, I just truly am grateful for the opportunity and the experience that we had. And maybe it's my endorphins coming down off one hell of a time in Lawrence, but it was great. And also, I appreciate you.
Yeah. I would say that a lot of times when you go on like little weekend trips, that Sunday afternoon, when everything's kind of winding down and you're packing up, you're just like crumbling up all your clothes and shoving it into the suitcase, and then you're driving to the airport for 45 minutes. It's really a depressing feeling because you just want to get the day over with. You just want to get home and like be back at your place. Yesterday was different though. I was driving to the airport. I was still buzzing. Like I had the tunes cranked. The weather was amazing. Like could not have picked a better weekend to be back in Lawrence. It was like 68 and sunny both days. And I was still living in the moment, man. I was like really happy, and I was just thinking about like kind of like you were. I wasn't getting emotional. I'm kind of, I'm a little bit more stone-hearted than you are. So I was just kind of still riding high. No, I did open my heart. I opened my heart a lot over the weekend. A lot. We went to some bars that I'd never been to, man. We went to some classics, and then we went to some new places. We were conversing with some elderly Show It All members. We were conversing with some very youthful ones, right? Like we were mixing in, man. We were mixing in wherever we were at.
There were people speaking to us who will have no memory of talking to us. And
For sure.
we're not able to put a sentence together like a lot. That's the younger show at all. And they were showing it.
Yes.
And they were showing it hard. And all ages showed it. It was incredible. Will you do the rundown? Will you tell people what we're going to talk about because like, I'm just going to keep going about Lawrence if you don't do that.
Yeah. Mike's going to give you the highlights of the weekend in Lawrence. We're going to get into the Texas game.
Me?
Yeah, that's you.
Keep going. Okay.
We've got a new segment, Mike's Corner. Stay tuned for that. Nick Timberlake went full Timbo mode. Is there something going on with Kevin McCullar? Is Johnny Furphy getting even sicker and richer and hotter by the minute? We're going to give out some awards, the Sick, Rich, Hot, Badass Mofo of the Week, the Suckbag Loser of the Week, and another edition of Guess That Player. All of that, Mike, and much, much more. This is Could Be Wrong.
And I could be wrong. You guys could look at this. And I could be wrong on this. I could be wrong. And I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I could be wrong on that. You'd have to ask him. But
are you going to wear the sunglasses the entire episode? Or was that just like a bit for the beginning? You can if you want to. I'm just like trying to get strapped in if you're like doing a character or if this is just a bit you want to continue the whole show.
I was planning on doing it for the beginning, but honestly, like, I kind of like it. Kind of like it.
But how are you going to do glasses on if you're starting the show with glasses on?
I'll switch glasses.
Okay.
These are
Glasses
sunglasses. They're not.
Yeah, shades off, glasses on. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, shades off, glasses on. We might not have glasses.
Can I tell a story from Friday night in Lawrence? I know we want to get into the Texas game, so if you don't want to hear us like recapping us living our glory days, you can just like skip ahead a few minutes.
They want to hear all the. There was some funny shit that happened this weekend. Like,
so we were out on Friday. We went to dinner at Dempsey's downtown. I mean, shout out to Dempsey's, by the way. Like, took really great care of us on Friday. Some friends were there. We had Bryson was there. The Ain't No Seats guys were there. We were having a great time. We went bar hopping after, and it was a pretty mellow night on Friday. You weren't drinking. A couple of the other guys weren't drinking. It was pretty chill. Nobody was really hitting it that hard.
I'll explain the lack of drinking later.
Yeah,
no one was going too hard.
Mike, and least of which Mike, who went less hard than everybody in the drinking. He made up for it in energy and attitude. So we'll give him that much.
That's big.
We were calling it a night. We were on the street corner down there on Mass Street, and we were calling it a night. Yeah. And this guy comes running around the corner, like as if he was being like evading police. And he comes over and he just runs into us as if he knew we were standing there. And he hits us with a bussin' with the boys, bussin' with the boys. And we all turn around and say, wait a minute, like, who knows? Like,
do you know
who's he with?
Is this like someone who knows, like, recognizing Ain't No Seats? You and me? Do you know who we are? No.
He proceeded to, he did a lot. Yeah, he smoked several cigs in a short amount of time. And he proceeded to tell us about the crime issues in Lawrence. Apparently, the cops aren't doing anything in Lawrence, and there's just crime running rampant. I said, what kind of crime? What's going on? And he looks at us and he says, well, here's an example. Last night, I was wasted out of my mind driving down Mass Street. And I said, whoa. But so you're the issue? You're the perpetrator of the crime problem? So I, for one, have great respect for the police of Lawrence, Kansas, and I would just say, hey, there might be some cleaning to do on the streets of LFK, and I can point you in the right direction if you need a description. But
I mean, well, you're like doing that guy a favor for like the
he needs some help.
I mean, like, I think it's explained once, like, evading an officer while wasted by going fast over a bridge of some sort. I think
he did say that it's allowed because he drives for DoorDash.
Yeah. He said that the crime problem is so bad that they don't care about his drunk driving.
Yeah, there's bigger issues.
Yeah. And
which I disagree with. Again, I don't condone any of it, and it's
the safest place I've ever lived. And look, there might be some stuff going on, but the streets apparently are not very safe.
Well, okay. On that note, Mike.
Oh.
We got shot.
Yeah, you got shot in the head.
I took one to the dome, one in the head, ain't dead. You took one to the chest. Thank God you were wearing that Kevlar home field jacket to protect you from stray fire. We were
Hit me right
walking
in the
down
heart.
Mass Street
Yeah.
on Saturday
Yeah.
night, and some kids were I would assume they're kids. I don't know. We didn't really get a good look at them. Some kids were driving down Mass Street, and they just had an airsoft gun out the window and just drive by, pelted us.
Yeah.
You said, I go, what was that? I just got hit by something. And you said, we got paintballed.
I thought it was paintball.
And I go, and I look around, and I go, there's no paint on us, man. And then one of the other guys with us was like, that was an airsoft gun. They just like drove by and shot us with an airsoft gun.
I thought like kind of good first reaction on my part because I instantly was like, paintball. We got paintballed.
That's a good reaction, being wrong right away.
Could
It's a
be
good
wrong.
first reaction.
Could be wrong. I was on the right track.
You didn't say it. You didn't hit us with a
Well,
could be
it was
wrong that night.
confusing, was it not? All of a sudden,
was
we
very
all got
confusing.
little stingers all over us. You kept going, oh, my ear, my ear. No, I'm just kidding. You were just
I
like,
hope that's a one-off. That was pretty whack. I'm not gonna lie. That kind of pissed me off that night. I didn't talk about it much, but I was thinking about it for the next couple hours.
Were you?
Yeah, I was like, we should have got old man mode. Like, should have got the license plate. I went directly into old man mode.
If
Those kids need to
anyone
pay.
listening to this knows who they were, we'll get them. Let's get them on the pod, and we're gonna call them suckbag losers. That's what we're gonna do to their face.
Including if it was you. If
Oh
you're
yeah, if
listening,
you shot us.
If you shot us, but you're a listener of the podcast, we'll let it slide.
I agree. That is a good take. That's a good take.
Yeah. I don't want to open the floodgates for everybody, like anybody who listens to the podcast, to like hit us with airsoft guns, but that was pretty
No.
whack.
Yeah,
So we talked
losers.
about this. You were the hydration king of the weekend. Like nobody drank more water than you in Lawrence.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were asking you questions about that, like, because people were coming up offering to buy beers, and you're like, nope, sorry, I'm good, not drinking. And you had a water close by at all times.
Yeah, it was hard.
And a couple of times I had to answer for you, which I kind of enjoyed watching you squirm, me explaining personal details of
Did you
your
have to
life.
answer for me because I had no voice on Saturday night? Is that what you're saying?
Well, there was one person who said, can I buy you a drink? You said, no, I'm not drinking. He said, why aren't you drinking? I said, he has to protect his loads.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Yeah,
you
you did
tried
do
to
that.
like follow up, and he couldn't hear you.
I had
And
no
so then
voice.
you're like slapping me, telling me to
Explain
explain
my
it to him.
loads.
And I refused to. I said, no, it's your business, man.
So this guy was very confused about my load, and I'm ready to bust.
Well, you should explain. Then you owe the listeners an explanation.
Yes, I do. We should normalize talking about fertility. My wife and I were freezing embryos, and about a week before the trip, the doctor was explaining things to me and said, "Oh, by the way, you have to be sober." And I was like a little bit distraught because the Lawrence trip was coming, and she reminded me that my wife has to take like 3 shots a day that are kind of painful, and it's really actually stressful and hard on a woman's body to do this. It's incredible. So first of all, like, how cool is my wife for still being like, no, go to Lawrence. Like, you should go have fun.
Very
while
cool.
she is taking medicine that tricks her body into thinking she's pregnant in a really short time period. So like, shout out to her for that. Thank you. She won't listen to this, by the way. Like, there's no chance. But I had to stay sober to protect my load. And if she would listen to that, I wouldn't have said it, but she won't.
You know, I will give you credit because, I mean, I think we all know people like this where you can't really have fun unless you're drinking. And then when you try to come out and be like the sober guy around a bunch of people who are hitting it, it can be kind of a buzzkill and it can be kind of a drag and you just bring the mood down. That was not the case with you. Energy was high, vibes were high. I think that's probably a good quality to have. So congrats to you.
I've got the gland that'll kick in for me and give me a little extra juice on the inside.
You've got the juice. You do have the juice. I think we learned that this weekend.
Hey, but Lawrence, like, I was so happy to be there. But I did go to the Hawk as a 32-year-old sober guy around 3 p.m. on Friday. But that's just because I wanted to soak it in. And look, like I had a beer on Saturday, which they said was okay, but I was sober the whole time. So like it was not ideal. Probably more allowed me to be more professional. But no, I can still bring it. I still got it. I still got a fastball.
Would you be willing to rank the best waters in Lawrence? I think we should make this a new segment. We've talked about this before. We need to give you your own segment. Oh,
it's because of my corner in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we first started doing this podcast, Mike was trying to figure out where he should set up at. He's in his spare bedroom at his home, and he was like, "I've got some KU stuff over here in the corner. I could put this in the background." And then he showed it to me, and I was expecting like this big collage and like a bunch of photos and stuff, and there's not much there. Corner. And he has been basically relegated to this corner of the house where he can put all of his KU memorabilia or whatever KU memorabilia he is allowed to put on the walls. And I've always thought I said it's like, oh, you got your own little corner, like not a room, not a man cave. You got your own little corner. It's Mike's Corner, and I thought it would be a good idea to start a new segment on the show, and it's called Mike's Corner, where you go into your corner. And it's also your corner of the show where you can discuss whatever you'd like. Okay,
we've talked about this logistically. I'm thinking about this right now. I got a lot of wires attached, so I can't do a full turn, but I think I can give you a piece of the corner.
Just give me a corner of the corner.
Little insight. My wife is an interior designer. Hey, she respects my passions. Go to Lawrence while I'm having a wild medical thing that we're doing together. And I say, no, you should probably design our house. And if you want to show it to people, you should do that. So I have my corner. All right. I got my little corner. It's Mike's Corner. And I will rate the best waters in Lawrence because I drank them all. I'm turning now.
For the listeners, Mike is turning about 6 inches to his right.
Oh, it's more than 6 inches.
To showcase what I believe is
6 inches.
I believe is a signed Frank Mason jersey.
Oh, yeah.
So, folks, we are officially in Mike's Corner. Mike, what would you like to discuss in your corner today?
Today, we are going to be discussing the best waters in Lawrence. I drank waters that I can remember. Bullmichael's Bar, Red Lion, Leroy's, Clyde's, whatever those new places are. The Wheel, the Hawk, Dempsey's, Allen Fieldhouse, good bottle of water there. Wheatfields, Pickleman's, Minsky's, and it's a blur there. I think if I forgot you as a water, I'm sorry. So I would say the water at the bar scene in Lawrence is generally subpar. College students probably not cleaning out the water gun too much. So that was a bummer. That was just all in all kind of a bummer everywhere.
Well, let me speak to that, by the way, because as someone who used to work in those bars, the way that those guns get cleaned every night is they fill up a pitcher full of soda water and soak the guns in the soda water. I think that is probably the full extent of cleaning that a lot of those guns are getting. Which does not make you... I can tell by the look on your face that is not reassuring as someone who had about 80 of them.
That's upsetting. I was pounding waters out there.
Nobody was more hydrated than you.
Number 5, Red Lion, in actually their LVP of the water list, because they did not give me a water at the bar and told me to go get it from a cooler in the front, in a Gatorade cooler, and I didn't want to look in the cooler because like that was probably gross too. But like you weren't that busy, and I love you, Red Lion, but like that's a little bit ridiculous.
I disagree. The bar was packed, and I think the water cooler thing is a very it's a very popular move at bars now. It's like there's a water station. Go get it yourself.
What if I'm having an anxiety attack over the embryo freezing? Over the loads.
If you would have relayed that information to them, maybe they would have got you a water.
Okay, but I wasn't. But I didn't like the denial of the water when I asked for the water. Number 4, Leroy's. Didn't taste great. I didn't like that water, but I had a bit of it because at that point my voice was shot. Yeah, that wasn't great. Number 3, I'm giving it to the Fieldhouse bottle of water. It was a Dasani, lukewarm. Otherwise, you could have been number 1, but like not cold enough, and yeah, it wasn't great. I'm giving Bullwinkle's number 2. I actually liked those. That kept me hydrated during the day, and like I needed it after banging the drum as hard as I could for a while. It was warm out, and I was like actually wasn't upset, and they were fast. They were very fast on the water, which is big. Waiting at the bar for a water at Lawrence Bar is upsetting.
But you understand why you're waiting, because you're the guy who they're not going to get any money from, and they're not going to get a tip from. So why would water guy be their number 1 priority?
Well, the bowl was taken care of, but that's a good point. I don't even mean priority. I mean, like, it's a bad feeling for me sitting there waiting, knowing I'm just going to ask for water, and it's going to take maybe 10 minutes to do that. The best water in Lawrence, I'm giving it to Dempsey's. That was a good water. That was a good restaurant water. They kept it refilled. I wasn't hankering for water. A little bit of ice, not too much. Tasted not tainted. And so thank you to that great water. Wheatfield's also had a good water, but it should, because they don't serve alcohol. Not ranked, the Hawk in Minsky's.
I'll be honest, I wouldn't drink a water from the Hawk. I wouldn't do it.
I think someone in my
that could be
group
detrimental.
handed me a water. And like that was a health risk. That was the riskiest thing all weekend, drinking a water.
I'll just say this. I wouldn't drink a mixed drink. I wouldn't drink anything with ice from the Hawk. Not going to get into details. I think that could be detrimental to your health.
Well, I apparently am just a ticking time bomb then. Maybe that's why I decided it was a good idea to wear this. Hey, Nick, what was your thoughts on the Lawrence bar scene, by the way? There's some changes. I want to hear what you
different.
thought as someone drinking.
I mean, the staples were, the same. When you go to I didn't go to the Wheel or the Hawk with you, but the bowl was, as I remember, I didn't go as much when it was the old bowl. And I worked there when it was the current state of the new bowl. So the bowl was sick. But then we went down to Mass Street's completely different. Like, that's where you notice the differences in the bar scene.
Yeah.
We went to Leroy's, which when I was there, it used to just kind of be like a pool hall. It was just packed with students. And now they got the other side, the new bar that's connected to it. Clyde's, yeah. It was packed too. And I was like, wait, college kids come down here now? That bar that used to be Tonic is now Logie's. There was a line around the block for that place. So I guess college kids are hitting Mass in a way that they didn't when we were in school.
Well, like, Mass was always a thing. I think enrollment's at an all-time high, and you really felt it trying to get into the bar. Walking around campus on Friday, dead. Rolling down 14th Street, every student on the planet.
Yeah, because it was 70 degrees and sunny on a Friday in February.
What it should be, and that's what we teach at KU is social skills. All right? So the Mass Street scene was different, though. Apparently, Logie's is nice. We didn't get in. I should have just dropped my Twitter. You think that would have helped?
Yeah, because I'm sure the 22-year-olds working the door would have went for that immediately. Yeah, we didn't even try to get in there. We just kind of walked past it, and then we went down on the next block. Should we get into the game? We're 20
Yeah.
minutes in. We haven't even talked about the reason why we came to town, which was, well, the party. And then the KU-Texas game on Saturday, the last game between these two teams before Texas leaves the Big 12. And KU stomped them. Like, I think it was like 12-10 at like the 12-minute mark of the first half. KU went on a huge run to close the second half, and it was a 20-point game basically the rest of the way. We got to start with Nicholas Timberlake, man. We got to start with Timbo going full Timbo mode. He had that dunk in the first half.
Full Timbo.
I mean, it almost popped the roof off that building. That was one of the sickest dunks I've seen in the field house. Not because he just like rose above the rim and cocked it back, but because he had a guy draped all over him. Like, he put that kid on a poster. Timbo, sneaky bouncy.
Also, like, he was going full speed.
Yeah.
I watched it a few times. Like, he was going full speed. I had a really good view of him also before he shot the free throws, and he was giggling to himself. Like, he had to take a minute and like took a few steps off before coming back to the free throw line because the place was going nuts. Nick Timberlake,
by far the best game for him, right? Like, that's his best game as a Jayhawk.
I don't even care if it's not true. The answer is yes. Like, I don't care. Like,
I think it is. I think it is true though.
Okay. Nick Timberlake. Tell me if I've mentioned this before or said this. He is the funniest KU player that I think I can remember, because this dude is like, well, have I said this before on here?
You've said it to me privately. I don't think we've aired this take though.
I think he's the funniest player I can remember, because when it's bad, it's so nonsensically bad. It is unforgivably and hilariously bad. And you can see when he's out there, like, still not always in the right place, but like, he is out there just trying to have a good time. I can't tell you how many people on campus claim to be friends with Nick Timberlake, which tells me he's having fun. And you know what? I'm perfectly okay with that. He's a vibes guy. All right.
Yeah.
He keeps them. I think he's keeping the team loose. And then when he does something good, it's like these ridiculous dunks. Like, he is going for it. And there's something, to some extent, I respect it. Like, to a large extent.
No, I respect. Yeah, there's a difference between like, hey, is this guy a really good player? What do you think about him as a basketball player versus like how he's attacking this year at Kansas? Like, he came here to play Kansas basketball. Yeah, there's probably some other goals in mind, and there's some, like, Hunter Dickinson talks about coming here. He's like, I want to get to the NBA. I want to play for a national championship. I feel like, yeah, Nicholas Timberlake wants those things, but the real reason he's here is because he's like, I want to be a Kansas basketball player.
Like, how cool would this be?
You got to live and die with that sometime. And the vibes, you're right.
True.
He is a vibey guy. Yes.
It's so funny. Can you remember laughing more, good and bad, at a KU player? Like, Mitch was kind of funny a little bit when he was like had a mask and stuff. Like,
the guys that you laugh at are just like, so when you just kind of throw your hands up in the air, like Nick, and you just say like, I don't really know what to make of this whole thing.
Right. You know why Mitch had a mask?
What's up?
Mitch got punched in practice.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
You mean, who did he get punched by?
I don't want to like.
No, I think I know. If I just go look at the teams, I know it. I just can't. I can't remember.
You'll say. You want to say it? I wasn't going to say. I didn't want to throw someone under the bus for punching their own teammate and breaking his face. I wonder
what year would that have been in? Like 2009? Was it Diedrich?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay.
Allegedly. But like Mitch would chirp. He would chirp. And sometimes you learn a lesson, and I respect that too. I wish KU would have just said it at the time. I think people would have liked it a lot more.
You think they would have liked him a lot more?
Everyone. Like, oh, no, that's cool. Okay, all right.
Okay, so back to Timberlake.
Back. Yeah.
He started this game because Kevin didn't play. He ended up playing 33 minutes. And if you really look at the 3 games that Kevin has missed lately, where Timberlake started, He played 31 minutes, 29 minutes, 33 minutes. We've talked about the bench and how it's a net negative whenever you go to the bench and you're just not really getting anything from it. But when Nick has started, it's been a mixed bag, but the production, the raw production has been objectively better than when he's coming in off the bench. And not just like, the counting numbers, of course, he's playing 33 minutes, but I think there's an element of you have a longer leash. You don't have to worry about looking over your shoulder because the first time you screw up, Bill's throwing Kevin or Johnny or whoever he's in for back in. It's this level of comfort of like, I can just kind of play today.
Yeah.
As opposed to like trying to avoid mistakes. We should probably just get into the Kevin stuff because I think it's impossible to talk about Timberlake's game without talking about Kevin because like a lot of people wonder, okay, is Timberlake turning a corner? Is he finally getting comfortable? The circumstances, though, in which he's playing better are directly related to Kevin's availability. Kevin didn't play. Bone bruise in his knee. Do I have that correct?
Yeah.
Bruised knee, bone bruise.
Yeah.
After the game, we were leaving the stadium. We were listening to Bill Self's post-game locker room interview, and he told Greg Gurley no less than 5 times some iteration of, if we get Kevin back. We don't know if Kevin's going to come back.
Guys, we don't know.
If and when. If and when. He kept saying that. We don't know that we're going to get him back. And it almost felt like a little heavy-handed. Like he wasn't even.
It was heavy-handed.
Greg Gurley wasn't pressing him on Kevin's status. He said he's not going to play Tuesday versus BYU, and we don't know if he's going to play again this season. And you and I were sitting in the car listening to this saying, like, what's going on here? This isn't just like a one-off mention of it. He said it over and over and over again.
We independently had this same reaction.
I said, what message is he trying to send, and who is he trying to send it to? He elaborated a little bit in the post-game press conference. We're recording this on Monday. He spoke to the media again today because KU plays BYU on Tuesday. And he said a couple of different things, one of which Michael Swain posted on Twitter. He said, quote, if you start playing him after the Big 12 tournament, he wouldn't be worth a crap in the NCAA tournament. We can peel the layers back of this onion, but like, what's kind of your 30,000-foot view of what's going on here with Kevin?
First of all, if you say the quote again, if he wouldn't play until the NCAA tournament, he'd look like crap.
Basically, he said if you start playing him after the Big 12 tournament, he wouldn't be worth a crap in the NCAA tournament.
Okay. Objectively, like there's enough history of basketball, people coming back in playoffs. Like, I'm sorry, but that's not true. Like, that's just, maybe it's Bill Self's mindset, but like, he could come back in that first game, be a little rusty, and be fine by the second weekend. And like, you could ease him back in, but that's not what Bill's saying, right?
I think what Bill is saying, if you want to just take this quote and put aside his post-game comments on Saturday, just from this quote, I think it's less about Kevin and more about how are we going to grow as a team if we're playing this style of basketball where Nicholas Timberlake's playing 33 minutes a night for the next 2 weeks, and then we revert back to the way we were playing. It's just the idea of we're not getting into any sort of a rhythm as a team if this guy can't play for the next 2 weeks. You can still argue the point if you want, which I think is valid, but...
I guess on that point, like, technically, sure, he cannot play like crap, but on that part of it, let's just take Bill Self and like trust that he has a method to his madness. He knows what he's doing and he knows what he's talking about. So I think that's fair. The 30,000-foot view is that those comments were very direct. They were, as you said, very heavy-handed. They weren't subtle. He could have easily said day to day, week to week. He's trying to get back, which he did kind of say, but he didn't. He could have cut it there. I think, well, he's trying to motivate Kevin to get back pretty clearly. I mean, by saying that, maybe it's expectation setting, but I think that is talking to Kevin. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you smelling? Why are you doing the sniffs?
Is that? Yeah, I think that's drama, Mike. I think that's drama that I smell. There is drama brewing within the Kansas basketball program.
I think there's some drama. I think that's fair to say.
Maybe like a small slice of drama, not like Remy drama, but enough to where Bill Self is going to go on the post-game interview minutes after you annihilated Texas. Yeah. Like, great game, great win, great for the team, great for the vibes. And you're immediately planting this seed of like, we need Kevin back.
Yep.
We need Kevin to get back out there. That was my interpretation. That was my interpretation.
You're right. And also, by the way, you've gotten a lot of hate for a lot of takes about Kevin, and it's going to be really interesting for one take, really. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, because I'm starting to think, you know what you're talking about sometimes. Huh.
You said it. Hey, your words, pal.
That stood out to me. In retrospect, looking at what you had said that you weren't maybe the biggest fan. People got mad at you. In retrospect, that seems interesting. So, yeah, I think it's fair to say there's a little bit of drama, some frustration. I think these things normally work themselves out, but now is the time. And that is when you're going to get a heavy-handed statement from Self saying, this train's going, and you're either coming with or you're not. I really felt like that's what it was.
Okay, let's put our reckless speculation hats on here for a second, because I think you're right. I think with 2 weeks left to go in the season, my interpretation is that Bill is looking at it and saying, we don't have time for this bullshit. You with us or not?
Yeah.
Like, hey, it's a bone bruise, right? We're not talking about ligament. We're not talking about soft. We're talking about a bone bruise, and I'm sure he's looking at it saying, honestly, Mike, like, the worst 4-letter word in the dictionary to Bill Self is soft. Like, don't be soft. Your knee hurts. Like, you're fine though, right? You're not going to re-injure it. Don't be soft. Don't be a pussy. Like, we need you right now.
Look at some of Bill's favorite players. There have been some, or the people that he's really stuck his neck out for and played through. Like, Marcus Garrett was a guy who wasn't sitting out. That dude was playing heavy minutes. Tyshawn played right after MCL surgery, I think. Like, obviously the Franks and Devon, I mean, those guys, I feel like I don't really remember them sitting out like this. So he said
there are really good stories, by the way, on Frank, like going to great lengths to like getting back on the court, because I remember hearing stories from the time that, like, because of the way he was built, he had really long recovery times. His body did not bounce back quickly, and he went to great lengths to make sure like he was as close to 100% as possible. So you have enough of those guys who we know are like the prototype Bill Self dudes. Do whatever it takes, like just grinders. And I'm not saying Kevin's not that. I'm saying Bill Self's not going to really entertain that at this point in the season with all the issues KU's had this year of like, will he, won't he, kind of hurt, I'm going to play this game, actually I'm going to shut it down until the tournament, because I think that's what's happening. I really do. Again, reckless speculation hat is on. I'm thinking like Kevin's looking at this saying, I'll just shut it down until the tournament. And Bill's basically saying, we're not going to play you if you don't practice. You're not just going to like chill for the next 2 weeks and then like think you're going to come in and be this tournament hero. Like, you're playing or you're not.
I'm working on trying to write something for KU hearings and the newsletter. Don't know if you subscribe, but I can't have a Remy situation. Like, that's the fear here of like things getting out of context. What coaches hate, from my experience, is like when things are out of their control. Injuries can be a bit out of their control, especially when KU played Kevin McCullar, 35 minutes against Oklahoma? I'd have to go look, but I think it was 35. So he sat out, came back and played 35 and is sitting out again. That is odd. That's the kind of thing that is going to cause frustration, I think, within a staff. And they haven't said that he re-injured it, and they would have. Like, they easily could have just said, it was hurt or it wasn't where they thought it was. They played him 35
Which, by the way,
minutes.
He would have. Let's just say that was the scenario, right? If he sits out, comes back versus Oklahoma.
Tries to play through it. Yeah.
That moment after the game on Saturday, when he's making all these comments on the post-game radio show, that's when he would have said he re-injured it or he re-aggravated it in that Oklahoma game. He would have said that.
Unless
and he didn't.
He
didn't say anything like that.
I guess he would have been covered. The only reason is you cover your own ass to be like, oh, we rushed him back. But then Bill Self's not doing that to throw a player under the bus. Let's be clear. So I haven't heard, and I've had a lot of conversations that it got re-hurt. It's more like, look at that. That's the kind of thing that doesn't add up. If we're doing speculation, or do you want to guess? I will. Right now, though, my guess, and again, these things normally work themselves out. Hearing that messaging, I feel like Houston game or Big 12 tourney, he's back, and I think he'll probably play at this point. But you're pushing it. And that's not a hearing. That's a flat out guess because injuries.
Well, that's what is frustrating. Like, even for me as a fan, if I look at these last 4 games, because that's all you have left before the postseason officially begins. You play on Tuesday versus BYU, then again on Saturday versus Baylor, next Tuesday versus K-State, next Saturday versus Houston. That's it. That's the rest of your schedule. And if I'm putting myself in Bill Self's shoes, I'm saying, okay, so we're just going to roll with this, like, Nick Timberlake getting 30-plus, like, starter minutes every night. El Marco and Jamari are going to get big minutes off the bench. We're going to do this for the next 2 weeks, and then the postseason's going to start. Are we going to incorporate like what we see over the next 2 weeks into the team that we're going to be in the postseason? Like, if Nick Timberlake plays great over the next 2 weeks, all of a sudden, does he have an extended leash? Or do you look at that using the context and say, well, he only looked so well because he was playing so much. So once Kevin gets back, if he's at 100%, let's assume he's at 100%, let's assume he's not rusty, then we'll just go back to the way we were playing a month ago where Nick Timberlake and all these dudes are fighting over table scraps and playing 6 or 7. Like, this is why it's frustrating for a coach. You talk about it being out of your control. You're trying to get into postseason form right now. You were trying to get some semblance, especially this year, for a team that has been fighting to get better just by like percentage points. If Nick Timberlake can be 5% better, if you can just get 5% more production from the bench, all of a sudden you feel better about your postseason chances. Kevin, his status being up in the air throws a massive wrench because if I'm a coach, I don't know how I'm like attacking this next 2 weeks of basketball. Like, how much of what I see over the next 2 weeks is real? Not knowing, like, is Kevin good? Okay, is he going to be hampered? Okay, is he going to be rusty? Is he going to be sitting out? Is he going to be practicing? It's too many questions to be faced with at this point in the season.
Get in or get out. It's time. And the 35 minutes and sitting out, it's just weird. So I still think these things normally work themselves out, and I think Bill is pushing them. That's clear as it. He also said, like, what did he say? We've got, like, Kevin's basically an assistant coach or something, which I think
that's a plus.
Some people would be like, oh, that's nice. I don't think that's Bill Self being nice.
It's not. It's not.
You're calling it All-American. Oh yeah, he's a coach for us on the bench. It's not that nice. That's not how he wants Kevin.
I think that was an extension of his comments from Saturday.
I think so too. I absolutely think so too.
To answer your question,
drama.
I think he'll come back, but I do think he needs to come back before the tournament. I think, like, if you, I think
Bill.
he'll come back next week.
Drawing a line. I think the line's been drawn. Mm-hmm. Come back or don't. But
these coaches, like, especially the ones that have been around for so long, like, I know we probably have a lot of Chiefs fans listeners. Like, Andy Reid is wired the same way. He's had this rule forever of guys who are injured, and the injury report comes out on, Saturday, or the final injury report, and his rule has always been, you don't practice during the week, you don't play. I don't care if you wake up Sunday morning feeling great. You don't practice during the week. You don't play. Don't care if you're the star player. Don't care if you're a rotational, nickel corner. These guys have methods and systems in place, and we can argue over like how dumb it is. Like, hey, if he's good, let him play. He's one of your best players, etc. I get it. But like these guys are creatures of habit, and they draw these lines in the sand of like, this is the rule, right? And it applies to everybody. So I do think there is an element of like, he kind of needs to get back out there if he can, right? If he's good to go, he needs to get back out there. And
Yep.
I think because of that, I can't imagine this whole thing just like blowing up and like Kevin not playing again this season. So I think he's going to play. Then I think
so
he needs
too.
to play in the regular season. So I think he sits out. He's obviously not playing on Tuesday.
Could KU
I bet you he doesn't
better
play on
without him?
Saturday.
Could KU be better without him? The Ewing theory.
That was a
Bill Simmons'
question.
famous Ewing theory.
That was a question that was posed to us on Saturday night, like by drunk college students who were like, "Hey,
Are we better?
do you guys? Yeah, are we actually better without McCullar?" I want you to answer this first. I want you to go first on this.
No. That's the answer. Probably not. But can this moment be used to KU's advantage in the long run? Yes, absolutely. Get those guys some confidence. The El Marcos, Jamari McDowell, Nick Timberlake, the little platoon substitution, or Parker Brown too. I get whatever. But no, Kevin McCullar, when he's confident and at his best, not worried about draft stock, whatever, is a really good defender. And he provides an element of offense that KU probably needs. So, no. And I want to point out also in the Arkansas loss, in the NCAA tournament loss last year. I don't have the numbers, but I remember Kevin McCullar, I think being KU's best player in that game. He played his ass off, if I recall. Like, that was a dude who I liked what I saw when things got tough in the tournament. So, like, that's a micro sample size. But, that's all we have. Sometimes you only have a micro.
Some people, yeah, for some people that is an issue that you deal with. Usually that's not, Kansas's issue. I agree with everything you just said. I know this team is not better without him, but I think it's a really good point that this moment, specifically for guys like Nick Timberlake, can be huge, and specifically for guys like Bill Self. It's less about Nick Timberlake and more about Bill Self learning to trust these dudes and just say, hey, you're not going to – if Kevin's back, you're obviously not playing these types of minutes, but maybe you get a little bit more run because I'm not going to freak out over every little mistake that you make because I've seen that, like, you can overcome it, you can make mistakes, come back, and still, contribute to the team. And I think the truth of it is, Mike, that whether it's injury or whether it's level of competition, regression, whatever you want to call it, Kevin's obviously not playing as well now as he was at the beginning of the season when he looked like, a top 5 player in the country.
All probably part of the caution. No, he's been playing worse. Yeah. Yeah,
he's been playing worse. His shooting numbers are down across the board. He's still better than he was last year. Like, he's still a better scorer than he was a season ago, and KU needs that. KU needs that desperately. But because of the fact that you're, like, it's tough for me in my head to, like, project, what version of Kevin are you going to get? Because I'm not comparing this version of Kansas without him to the one earlier in the season when they weren't getting anything. Like, best case scenario, I'm comparing Kevin from 2 weeks ago to, like, what you got from Nick Timberlake versus Texas. It's so hard to do. Like, it's tough to make these projections with small sample sizes, like you said. So they're better with
micro.
him. Yeah, with micro sample sizes. They're better with him, no doubt. But I think what we're learning right now is that, like, these guys have to have a role. They have to. Like, Nick Timberlake has to have a role in March, and Marco Jackson has to have a role. It can be a small role, but you're going to need them in 1 or 2 games if you're going to go on some sort of deep run.
I mean.
Oh, by the way, we didn't talk about Johnny Furphy, who scored, I believe it was 16 points on 3 shots.
Okay, that's cool. That is sick. I don't even care about the performance on the court. The field house loves Johnny Furphy.
I underestimated how much of a heartthrob he is in that town.
I think he is very popular with the female Jayhawk clientele based on the signs clientele fans.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
which is fine. I think he's popular with everyone. But there are a lot of signs of love for Furphy. I thought it was like a thing, but no, it was way more than I realized. Johnny Furphy is like he's the guy, right? He's the guy on the team. Sorry, Hunter. There's this 12-year-old looking Australian boy who can fucking leap.
I have to call timeout now. And actually, this doubles as a timeout. I'm making the T sign. It's a timeout and it's a technical on you.
What did I do?
Because
oh man,
remember at the beginning of the season when I said Johnny Furphy is going to steal Hunter's thunder? Forgot about that, didn't you? And then now you just admitted it. Now you just admitted it after calling me stupid when I said it.
Did I call you stupid?
You said, no, it's Hunter's team. It's Hunter's team. Hunter's going to be just fine. Are we sure about that? 3 months later? Johnny's team.
Hey, you're right. I'm happy to
Thank
say
you.
it. I'm one also takeaway from Lawrence, by the way. We haven't hung out together like in person like that. We're boys. Like we're friends.
Yeah, we are.
We're friends. And,
We're crew.
And I think Hunter and Nick Timberlake are friends too. I saw that. I saw some love.
Yeah, I did too. With Furphy, by the way, I think he's been these last 2 wins versus Texas and OU. I think he's been their best player. It's been nice to see Hunter kind of come back around after.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different. Like he just looks different out there, and he looks like a professional player. And you can tell he's so far away from like what he's gonna be, but he does so many things so well. He's amazing in transition. Like he still hasn't become that guy who can really like go and get his own shot, but great spot up shooter. So much energy, so much hustle, like crashing the offensive rebounds, crashing the glass in general. He just plays hard. And on top of that, like 6'9", you can shoot it. You can finish in transition. You can play above the rim. Like you can finish in traffic. Yeah, if I'm an NBA scout, I am all over that dude.
Last week I said, I think there's a good chance Furphy comes back. After seeing him in person, I'm less optimistic. He is really smooth.
Okay. That's a perfect transition then, because I want to get into some awards. We haven't done these in a while,
Good.
But because, to honor our weekend in Lawrence and that great game that we saw on Saturday, I want to give out our Sick Rich Hot Badass Mofo of the week. I want to give out our Suckbag Loser of the week.
I have no idea.
I want to end on a positive note. So we'll start with the Suckbag Loser of the week. There's a few obvious candidates. The first one is whoever shot us with the airsoft guns. They were an early leader in the clubhouse.
Mad you are about this. You played it.
I'm not
so
over
cool.
it. It's not okay. I've just been stewing privately for the last 48 hours.
I gotta.
How do we get back at these kids?
Do they know who they shot?
Another nominee for Suckbag Loser of the Week is John Rothstein. Did you see his tweet after the game on Saturday?
No, but I'm very, very excited to hear this.
Okay, John Rothstein took to Twitter right after the game on Saturday and said, quote, Allen Fieldhouse always solves a lot of problems, but I'm officially very concerned about Kansas moving forward with Kevin McCullar's knee situation. The Jayhawks have a small margin for error with him. Without him, they can lose to anyone on a neutral court. Interesting timing for that take. And as somebody who has had some poorly timed takes in recent memory, like after the game where Kevin McCullar doesn't play and they just throttled Texas by 20 points, that's when you're saying, I'm worried about this team without McCullar. Like, it'd be one thing if they skated by and like couldn't score the ball. They couldn't do anything wrong in that game. Everything KU did, like Parker Brown tried to dunk from the free throw line.
It was awesome.
Didn't even come close, but he still made the shot.
Yeah.
Still made the shot. Nicholas Timberlake is putting kids on posters, and we're going to say, like, officially hitting the panic button on KU without Kevin McCullar. That's a suckbag take. I'm sorry.
Did he say that? It was from Self's comments, I assume. That's my guess. But it doesn't even matter because they could lose to anyone on a neutral court. Like, has he not been paying attention to KU this year? Like
they can lose to anyone on a neutral court with him.
The whole thing has been that they've struggled away from Allen Fieldhouse. He's not. It's the coldest, and it is not. It's a cold take and a poorly timed take. And
yes,
I'm just like, this dude's not watching games like that. I'm calling it right now. He's just like on his phone. Oh, no Kevin McCullar. Like that's.
Well, I will say, I don't think John Rothstein has any interests outside of college basketball. So I think he's watching games, but he's probably watching like 9 games at once. So like maybe not supremely locked in to any one of these teams.
Do you think he has a BlackBerry? Or like maybe an.
I would assume he's joined the 21st century.
No, I think this guy lives in a different world.
Do you have any other nominees, or should we just vote between those two?
No, because I have no issue with like everything. I'm happy with everyone except for this K-State fan just tweeted something stupid at me.
Okay, let's put that to the side for now.
Okay,
all right. I need your attention here.
Okay.
Yeah. Who do you want to give this award to? Are you leaning one way or another?
Well, the Rothstein take really agitates me.
So let me ask you this. This is. I'll put it to you very simply. Is Rothstein's take worse than shooting us? Like, is that take more unforgivable than shooting us in the face with an airsoft gun? I think it might be.
That take is worse than shooting us.
It is. It is. So now you know where the line is with us.
Like, we're not happy with the shooters.
No, it's still not okay. It's still not okay, but it's more okay than John Rothstein unleashing that take on Saturday.
Don't you offend us about ball.
Okay, let's bring it back. Positive. Sick, rich, hot, badass mofo of the week. I thought I would keep this one pretty simple. It's Nick Timberlake or Johnny Furphy. Like, Nick Timberlake had his moment in the sun. Johnny Furphy's about to be really rich because I'm starting to agree with you. I don't think he's coming back next year.
And
so
he's
those
sick,
are my two nominees.
And apparently, well, he's hot. Like,
no denying it.
The field house, like, just it's dripping everywhere.
And honestly, I would give his brother. I think they showed his brother on the jumbotron. I think it's Joe Furphy.
The Furphy's
Joe Furphy, I think is his name. And he's a professional rugby player in Australia.
Yeah,
he might be a low key sleeper nomination.
Oh, for sick. Actually, I would like to officially nominate Joe Furphy for Sick Rich Hot Badass Mofo of the Week as well. What about the man from was it Tyler, Texas?
Oh yes, it was
Lion.
Tyler, Texas. I know who you're talking about. Mm-hmm.
We appreciate you. He told us a great story about his son driving to watch the game with his mom, and it was really nice. He's a fan of the show. I hope he's listening to this. You're a nominee for Sick Rich Hot Badass Mofo of the Week. That was a great conversation.
You know, we should just give it to him because Nicholas Timberlake,
Joe Furphy's pretty
and
cool.
Furphy. Yeah, but those guys are going to have more opportunities the rest of the season. It's probably
Joe
this fella's
Furphy?
only chance. Yeah, Joe, you're right. Let's give it to Joe. All right, fine. Yeah, let's give it to Joe Furphy.
I'm sorry.
Shout out Joe Furphy.
To your runner-up, but I want to give it to Joe Furphy. Strong, good thighs, like a super horse.
Yeah, I believe he plays with the Geelong Cats.
Yeah, sorry. He's Sick Rich Hot Badass Mofo of the Week. The Furphy genes are strong.
There's like 12 of those Furfies running around Australia. It's incredible. Those are really strong genes. All right, let's close out the show with the game we debuted last week. Very successfully, might I add. You won that episode of Guess That Player. Very simple game, Mike. Both you and I have KU players in our heads that the other one is going to try to guess using only yes or no questions. The first one to guess the other person's player wins. We have put parameters on this where you can only choose a player from the last 20 years of Kansas basketball. So going back to the 2004 season. You won last week, so you can decide if you want to go first.
Yeah, I want to go first. Actually, no. I want to go second.
Is your player a guard?
Yes, my player is a guard. Is your player a big man?
Yes, he is. Mike, did your player ever make a first team All Big 12?
I got to pull this one up.
Mike is looking up whether or not his player was ever named to a first team All Big 12, which the fact that he has to look it up honestly helps me.
I don't think he was.
And you sound surprised by that. Okay, that answers my question.
Oh, it's my turn to ask.
Yeah.
Was your player a starter?
My player was a starter.
Oh.
Did your player play 4 years at Kansas?
No.
You know, after you answer these questions, it's now your turn.
Well, so there's a strategy, because if I ask a question that's too good, you can then use it against me. So we don't want that. Did your player average more than 15 points a game?
No. Was your player a one and done?
Nope. Did your player play 4 years?
Yes, he did. A scholar as well as an athlete, some would say.
Sasha Khan.
You don't get to guess right now. You know that. You know the rules. You know you can't put two questions in one. Okay, so your player's a guard, not a first team All Big 12, didn't play 4 years, but not a one and done. Did your player ever play in a Final Four?
Yes. Is your player Sasha Khan?
No, it is not, and I'm glad you used that. Was Sasha Khan like a notorious
I don't
scholarly
know
man?
why I thought that. No idea.
He does look pretty distinguished, so you know what? Don't beat yourself up over that.
I think he's smart.
Was your player a starter for KU?
Yes. I'm just going to have to start throwing darts. Is your player Darnell Jackson?
No, it is not.
No.
I don't know why you're throwing darts so early. Like, I don't have the answer circled. I don't have, like, a short list quite yet. So,
Because last time it worked.
you did get Brandon Green on an absolute dart throw, so that would make sense. Okay. Not a one and done. Never first team All Big 12. Played 4 years. Started. Guard.
I don't want to
Is your
look
player
up.
Christian Brown?
Nope.
God, I felt really good about that. God, I felt good about that. That stings.
I don't have it started. Did your player play in the NBA? Play in the NBA?
He did play in the NBA. Did your player play in the NBA?
Yes. Okay. So you got a big starter. He was a starter, didn't average more than 15 points. He played all 4 years. It is not Sasha Khan or Darnell Jackson. And you called him a scholar. And I'm just going to try to ignore that now. Because like that.
You should ignore that because I just called him a scholar because he stayed for 4 years, you know?
Is your player Cole Aldridge?
My player is not Cole Aldridge. Is your player Mario Chalmers?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought I was going to go so obvious that you would never guess it and I would beat you.
It worked.
Oh, hold on. You have not won.
It took me a while, but you do get a rebuttal.
You have not won. All right, 4-year center. This feels attainable here, guys and girls. Tarek Black?
Tarek Black played 1 year at Kansas.
Okay, but he did play 4 years of college ball. So, like, I actually was hung up on this at Kansas or not. So,
sorry, they're talking in my ear. The competition committee said we will let that slide because of the confusion, and we will give you a final guess.
I'm just looking for anyone who qualifies. No, this person didn't play 4 years at KU. I don't know. I already said Cole Aldridge. I don't know. I'm out. I lost. Darrell Arthur didn't play 4 years. I lost.
All right, we're gonna hit the buzzer on you there. The name that we were looking for, Mike, was Jeff Withey.
He didn't play 4 years at KU.
Yes, he did.
Oh, his first year was he played the red shirt because he transferred. He transferred.
He played 15 games his freshman year. He did transfer. He redshirted to Arizona, so Arizona doesn't show up on his resume. But he played 15 games his freshman year.
No, that's right. I thought he was disqualified because of the Arizona That's why I didn't say his name.
And Mike, that'll happen. And that'll happen in this game.
Yeah, you're
know?
right. You're right. You're right. You're right. No,
You'll
you
get this
won.
rule in your head that you think eliminates a guy, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's your answer. So,
You won because I guessed poorly. I could have said, is he a 7-footer, and probably would have gotten it.
well, don't put qualifiers on it. I won. You know, you don't need to put a Y.
You're right. You're right. I'm saying, like, I want to take responsibility. You won. I was worse. You won
Thank you.
because I played bad.
Well, yeah, and I played well as well.
No,
So,
no credit.
let's
No
just-
credit to our opponents today.
We'll go ahead and let the record state that
I just got
performed
injured
very well.
in
and
a court storm.
And I could have beat anybody. I could have beat anybody the way I was playing today. Subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcast. Shout out to the Show It All gang. Thanks for coming out last week. It was
Thank you
great
all.
to meet you guys. And we'll be back next week.